everyone, and welcome back to the Film Room Podcast. This is episode 17. I'm your host, Joe Baress, along with my co-host, Joby, Fawcett. Joby, how we doing?
Joe, quite refreshed from a week of how we like to describe it as staycations.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I bet, Joby.
In the newspaper business. But yeah, we're getting ourselves charged up here for the winter sports season after what was a very exciting fall season with the high school football. And, I did happen to watch the state championship games over the weekend, Joe.
Yeah.
And happy to report that Troy, which defeated Riverside in the state playoffs, won a state championship.
Yep.
In Class 2A, and Northwestern Lehigh, which ended Scranton prep season, also won a state championship in Class 3A. Now, is that something that you want to kind of gauge yourself and where you have to get in terms of us crowning a state champion here in the Lackawanna Football Conference in the near future? I think that is a pretty good idea of where you need to be. Both of those teams had very tight championship games at the state level. So, you can kind of get your idea of where you need to get to as a program to, if you want to win a state championship out at Cumberland Valley High School. But, so I spent that time. I did some basketball previews. I did some swimming previews and collected some all-star information. So a lot of stuff on our plate here as we get ready for the winter sports season.
Absolutely, Joby. I missed you last week. We brought in Sam Freeman. He did a nice job filling in, but he's been fired. No, I'm just kidding. Joby.
Yeah, let's not use that term, Joe. Not in these very challenging economic times.
It's true. That's true. No, Sam is still obviously working for us. He did a wonderful job last week, but Joby has returned from a well-deserved vacation, which I'm sure he didn't work at all.
Now, Joe, listen.
Yeah.
As you know, is tradition at the Times-Tribune in the sports department.
Mm-hmm.
I like to give the new guys a nickname of some sort.
Yeah.
Haven't been able to come up with anything for Sam Freeman yet. Kind of a real basic, short name. It's kind of hard to get yourself something real witty and quick out of that. So I'm still bouncing some things off the wall. We'll figure something out. Eventually, we have to initiate the young guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll get something together here.
Maybe by the end of the month, we could have something.
Well, we'll see.
We'll discuss it. Absolutely. We are actually joined by poor Sam Almedina, who's been waiting to speak. He's our.
Now he's waiting for a nickname, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to give him one. Sam was our athlete of the week this week. He is a Mid-Valley wrestler. Sam, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Just to give a rundown of why Sam earned the award. He's a freshman. He went 4-0 this weekend, including 3 wins over Class 3A state-ranked opponents to capture the 160-pound title at the Tom Best Memorial Top Hat Tournament at Williamsport High School. Sam is ranked 20th presently in Class 2A at 160 pounds. After this weekend, that's probably bound to go up with the next release. But Sam, I just want to start off with, obviously you've been wrestling a while. How did you get started in wrestling?
Oh, well, originally I always used to just wrestle with my dad. We'd always just play around in the living room. And then one day I told my dad, hey, I want to wrestle. And he was like, heck yeah. So we signed up for a youth program nearby, and that's pretty much how it started.
Sam, I just want to give you an idea here. I've been working at the Scranton Times-Tribune for about 28 years now. And Joe will tell you I'm not overly involved in the wrestling coverage and never have been. But during my vacation, I was riveted to the Twitter or /X reports from this wrestling tournament to see your results. It was very exciting for me to see a freshman doing so well. Kind of tell me about the atmosphere, what that was like at this big tournament here so early in the season for you as a freshman, kind of breaking in and having a very challenging road to a title.
I was really excited. I saw the brackets that Thursday, and I saw I was going to have that Lonzie Velma And I knew that was going to be a match that I really wanted to get just to see the gauge where I was at with him. And I saw that I had a bunch of other state ranked kids, and I was like, heck yeah, I want to wrestle those best guys, and I was really excited for it. And the atmosphere was awesome. I loved how the crowd was really getting into the matches. I love seeing that stuff, and it was cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, if all goes well, you'll be there at regionals later on. Sam, I kind of talking to you. I love your enthusiasm. You seem to have an enthusiasm about, wrestling. What do you like about the sport? What kind of pulls you into it?
The fact that you have to take responsibility for everything, it's not only a team sport, when you go out there on the mat, it's you, and you can't blame anyone else about it. And I love how it makes you take responsibility, and wrestling helps you with more than just, wrestling. It helps you with life. I feel like it's helped my responsibilities a lot, my maturity, and it's just helped me a lot. I wouldn't be where I am now without it.
Sam, the discipline it takes to be a champion wrestler, and clearly you are that, having already won here at the high school level in your freshman year, but certainly you've won tournaments throughout the youth programs you participated in. In wrestling, though, many people don't realize the dedication and commitment you have to dieting, to exercise, to training. Kind of go through some of your ritual and how you maintain that routine throughout the course of a year.
Well, it's not really the easiest thing, but I always just remind myself, and I have my brother with me too, and we always just remind ourselves that, everything's going to be worth it one day. So, we always just keep discipline, waking up in the mornings, doing our extra lift, doing our extra conditioning, doing all our extra workouts, and, staying disciplined every day. And, we motivate each other every day to stay on task. And I think the way we're going, we should do good things soon.
Yeah, absolutely. You also discussed when we were talking in the Athlete of the Week interview, the Mad Assassins Wrestling Club, and it just seems like every local wrestling athlete who hits it big, that's where they go. I mean, tell me a little bit about why you think people succeed coming out of Mad Assassins Wrestling Club, and why is it so great for you?
Well, so the coach definitely he's a big part of it. He doesn't let anyone slack off. If you slack off in the room, then you're out. We only want the kids that are willing to work hard. You don't even have to be good at wrestling, because he'll help you get there. You just got to be willing to work hard and put the work in. And I love how he's always willing to push us no matter who we are. And he doesn't treat anyone differently. No matter who you are, he'll treat you the same way he treats everyone. And I love that.
Sam, there's a great deal of intensity that has to go into the sport of wrestling when you're out there on the mat. You mentioned already about it really falls upon you as the athlete. And in following your tournament performance on Saturday, you had fallen behind by a large margin in one of your matches. I want you to kind of tell people what it takes mentally and physically to do that and rally and come back for a big victory.
So I've seen it a bunch with other kids. They'll be getting taken down in the first period, or they'll get put to their back, and they'll start, you could see it in their face, start to crumble. But honestly, for me, when I got thrown, all that went in my head was just pretty much nothing. I love wrestling, and that's all I wanted to do that match. So I just kept taking it to him. And, even though I got thrown, I was I know, like I said before, there's still 4 minutes left, and I'm going to keep bringing it to him, and I just kept wrestling back, and I ended up getting it.
Yeah, Sam, you've obviously, you just started in the high school program, but, Mid-Valley is obviously a very new program in the area, and it's really growing, obviously spearheaded by you and your brother, Matt. Obviously your father's an assistant coach there. Dennis is a great guy, great coach for you. What has the Mid-Valley program been like for you? And, how cool is it to be part of growing a program?
It's been awesome. It's been awesome, helping the kids and seeing the kids get better. And the fact that my dad and Dennis are both willing to, help these kids and help them get to where they want to go. And it's been awesome.
Sam, give us a little background. Obviously you're really dedicated and committed to the sport, but who are some of your inspirations who you look up to in the sport of wrestling? I'm guessing your dad is a huge inspiration for you based upon what he's done for your career so far. But do you have some collegiate wrestlers that you follow as well?
Oh, yeah. One of them right now that I've been watching a lot is I've been looking at Mitchell Messenbrink from Penn State and Jesse Mendez from Ohio State. Those two, I just love their attitudes, and I love the way they wrestle. High-paced, fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, is there anything like you kind of learned from Matt? He's a few years older than you. Anything that you've learned from your brother specifically growing up?
Yeah, something he always taught me was my using my hands a lot in wrestling, like being more physical, because that's something I lacked a little bit, and I would be too soft with my hands, moving the guys, and he helped me a lot getting in, like staying in a good position, because Matt, if you watch him, he's really positional, and he really helped me with my hand fighting this year. He was beating me up in the room and made me get better at hand fighting, and I appreciate it.
Sam, now you've obviously started off the season with an outstanding championship tournament win, but it is still very early in the season. Do you have a really tight program that you and your coaches are sticking to as you move forward with the schedule? Because I know you probably got a lot of responsibilities and some huge Christmas tournaments coming up.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited for those. But we're going to keep working on all the stuff I need to work on, and I'm going to work 10 times harder now because I know people are going to be coming after me now, and that's all I want. I want the best competition, so I'm ready for it, and I'm going to keep putting the work in 10 times harder and just keep getting better. Absolutely. Keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely. And Sam, one thing that I found kind of interesting about our Athlete of the Week interview, you said your favorite sports teams, one of them's the Philadelphia Eagles, which isn't surprising about the area. The one that was a little surprising to me, and you said you like to follow the Iowa Hawkeyes for college. Now, is that like a wrestling thing, or like, how did you kind of grow to kind of follow Iowa?
So the way we practice at our club for Mad Assassins is pretty much how we practice at Iowa, or how they practice at Iowa. And I gotta see a little bit of that. And I love the coaches, the Brand brothers. I always looked up to them. And some of the wrestlers that came out of it, like Austin DeSanto, Spencer Lee, J.K., all those guys, I loved watching. And ever since then, my coach showed me other stuff about Iowa, and I actually got to visit it this year, going to preseason nationals in Iowa, and that was an awesome experience. I got to see the Olympic medalists and stuff, so it was an awesome experience.
Wow, that's amazing. That's awesome.
Sam, I know this is probably forbidden territory to get into, but I'd like to weave some entertainment into the conversation every now and then. And I know traditional mat wrestling, you guys are really headstrong and you're so dedicated to your sport. Now, there have been some very outstanding wrestlers who have gone on to be professional wrestlers, so to speak. Have you ever watched Kurt Angle? Not necessarily as a professional wrestler, but his collegiate Olympic career.
I watched his Olympic career when he broke his neck and he won the Olympics. I remember watching that. And I was like, holy, like that was crazy.
Absolutely. So, Sam, another thing I want to touch on is that, you talked about the importance of not only, your dedication to wrestling, but, that wrestlers have to be dedicated to their education as well. Obviously, it's early now. You're a freshman. Do you have any interests as far as educationally, subjects that you like, anything that you're going to be looking to get into in the future?
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to do when I was older is mechanical engineering. I've been looking at that for a while now, just because I like to be creative. I like to put things back together and take them apart, and it's something that really interests me.
Sam, now Joe usually likes to sign off the interview, but before I allow him to do this, so this goes back to a long time ago when I used to interview wrestlers on a radio show we had many, many years ago. And I know you're only a freshman, so this is I'm going to sound very archaic when I bring this movie up, but I'm going to recommend it to you. I'm guaranteeing you've never seen it, but there was a movie in the mid 80s called Vision Quest.
I have seen that.
You have seen it? Sam, you're the first wrestler in high school that I have talked to.
It's funny you say that because that's actually our walkout song from the ballet.
Isn't that incredible?
Joby, there you go.
Well, I feel so much better, Sam. You've got a big fan in me now. and here's why, Sam, here's why. When I was in high school growing up, in the mid 80s, which is a long time ago, these types of sports themed movies were very big.
Yeah.
And high school wrestling was huge back then in the mid 80s. And that movie, for some reason, just was so popular. And I can remember watching it as a young kid. Now, I never got into the sport of wrestling because, quite frankly, I was afraid. And I was not strong enough to do a sport of that nature. But I'm so happy you've seen that movie. That's great. And yeah, the song, I always like to bring up the song, how great it is and inspiring.
Yeah, my dad showed it to me originally, and ever since then we were like, we have to use this for our walkout. So we've been using that for a while, and it's awesome.
Joe, a little lunatic fringe.
I love it. That's phenomenal. Well, Sam, thanks so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. I know you probably got to do a practice. You got to go to Mad Assassins as well. And so thanks so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Best of luck to you, and really tell all your friends to watch Vision Quest.
I will. Don't worry, I'll make sure they all do.
All right.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you.
All right. That was Sam Almedina, Mid-Valley wrestler. How great is that kid, Joby?
So I'm happy that, and you know what, listen, what's great about being able to chat with a young man like him is, look, he's only 14 years old.
Yes. I was going to say, yeah, exactly.
And he's just starting. He's on the, getting his career going. And if either one of us is lucky enough to still be around when that kid's a senior, boy, are we going to be able to be involved in covering what should be a very incredible career.
Exactly, Joby. And I mean, you obviously know, I know you don't cover wrestling, but like you obviously know plenty about it. I haven't seen him yet, but like, I just love his mentality. He just seems to have this enthusiasm. Like you brought up, he was down 7-1 in a match, and like, to come back from that is, I don't know if people, obviously people in the wrestling community understand how difficult that is, but people outside to have, the mental fortitude to come back in a match like that against somebody who's state ranked, it's just, it's incredible. So I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. Obviously, his brother too, Matt Almedina, 2-time state qualifier. I believe he's ranked 8th in the state right now. Like I said, Sam is ranked 20th in the state in Class 2A. That's going to move up.
Yeah, that's going to change.
Yeah, and according to PA Power Wrestling, the next set of rankings should be coming out soon. So it's really cool to see someone with that kind of mentality, that enthusiasm, that joy for wrestling. Obviously, someone like that, they're going to succeed.
And Joe, it was a busy week for you while I was on hiatus.
Yeah.
It's in the sport of wrestling. I think Brian Hurd had a pretty good finish at one of those big tournaments over the weekend as well from Abington Heights. And you had somebody commit to another Division I athlete, Joe. You're busy.
Yeah, Joby. I mean, the wrestling talent, where it was when I first started covering the sport, maybe 5-6 years ago, to where it is now in the Lackawanna League, it's unbelievable. And it's a blast. First of all, like you said, Michael Turry, West Scranton, committing to Cornell University. What I didn't remember when I was writing the story is that Cornell finished 2nd in the nation last year.
Yeah.
To obviously Penn State. But I mean, this is a big time program. Brian Hurd, who you mentioned, going to UPenn. I mean, these are big time colleges. Look back to last year. Caleb Marzolino, he's at Indiana. Gunnar Myers, he's at Northwestern. I mean, in the Big Ten, obviously, is the premier conference in wrestling. There's been just a flood of talent. And like you said, let's go through some of the things that happened over the weekend. As you said, Michael Turry wins his weight class at the Pottstown Invitational. He not only won his 152-pound weight class, but he earned Most Outstanding Wrestler as well, which is not surprising. He's been doing this. Obviously, he's been doing this for a while now. He's a 2-time state medalist, and like I said, going to Cornell. So he had a nice weekend for himself. Also out of West Scranton, Connor Legier captured the 121-pound title. And there's plenty more. At the Darren Klingerman Invitational, Honesdale's Nathan Schumann, Abington Heights, Mason Whitney, Hanover area's CJ Keynes. There's someone to keep an eye on in the WVC. I think he's the number 1 state-ranked kid right now, and he's a freshman at Hanover area, so that is someone definitely to keep an eye on. He won a title this weekend in Berwick's Carmen Malt. Honesdale winning the team title there, and Honesdale's got a lot returning, so they're going to be a big-time team. As you had mentioned, Brian Hurd finished second at that tournament. So, we move on to the Gary Woodruff Memorial Duels, which has kind of become the Wallenpaupack wins every year duels. If I got to come up with a catchy name: Zayden Schock, Conan Kyer, Gabe Caulfield, Giovanni Lamonaco, and Aiden Blount. They each went 5-0 to lead Wallenpaupack. Battle on the Delaware Valley's Brady Colville and Travis Walton captured individual titles to lead Delaware Valley to a 3rd place finish. And, obviously, too, Joby, we've got a lot of girls' talent, starting with Honesdale's Sage Olver, who earned Most Outstanding Wrestler at the Battle on the Delaware, capturing a title at 124 pounds. Also, Jaden McCulloch, she also secured a title. For Delaware Valley, Juliet Fitzpatrick, Kate Pryor, and Emily Smith captured titles as Delaware Valley captured the team crown. And also, Western Wayne finished 3rd at that tournament with Mila Smith, Mia Gifford, Caitlin Nunez, and Addie Pruss, each placing 2nd. Finally, I believe, if I left anybody out, I'm sorry, but there's been a lot of tournaments on Saturday. Lillian Schock, Wallenpaupack, captured the 155-pound title to lead Wallenpaupack to a 4th place finish at the Jarvis Memorial Tournament. Salil Wright, also out of Paupack, placed 2nd. Joby, I also want to mention, you said Brian Hurd. Obviously, he's going to UPenn. He is the top-ranked wrestler in the state at the moment. So in his weight class, it's gonna be quite the year in wrestling, which is no surprise of late, because the last few years have been absolutely stellar in the Lackawanna League.
And Joe, you know me, I'm all about promotion.
Yep.
And I believe you have a big story coming. There's a lot of people out there, they can't wait to read about these grapplers.
That's right. That's right, Joby. So I found it really cool that Zayden Schock and Lillian Schock, they're cousins at Wallenpaupack. Zayden's a senior, Lillian's a sophomore. They're both wrestling at Wallenpaupack and having some success. So there will be, I went up there yesterday, wrote a feature. It's going to be in Wednesday's paper. It'll also be online. So pretty cool. Obviously, Zayden, an 100-match winner who's all-region state qualifier, had a big year last year and hopefully has another big year this year. And Lillian Schock, someone who started, right at the beginning of the Wallenpaupack program when she was in 7th grade. And then when the PIAA sanctioned girls wrestling, she was there right in freshman year in high school to lead in the first Wallenpaupack high school team. So it's obviously been quite a journey for girls wrestling, and Lillian and that Pop-Pack team are a big part of it. A Pop-Pack team that won the district title at the individual tournament last year. And also on the boys, that Wallen Pop-Pack team also won the boys team title at the individual tournament last season. And Wallen Pop-Pack's returning 10 district placers from last year. The only one that's not returning is Gunnar Myers. That is a gigantic loss. But other than him, they've returned pretty much their entire lineup. So it should be an excellent year. But yeah, read that in tomorrow's or Wednesday's paper, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. And it'll also be online at the Times-Tribune.com/sports. And, yeah, so that's that. And, we're going to have a big year from West Scranton. We'll probably talk about this next week, but West Scranton and Wallen Pop-Pack face off next Wednesday in the league opener.
I was going to mention the league openers, Joe, right around the corner.
Yep, they're right around the corner. I should probably get a preview written.
Well, Joe, listen, you've got a lot on your plate.
You know how it goes, Joby.
And I'm not just talking about your Thanksgiving feast that you had, Joe.
I know. Oh boy, did I have a lot. I
heard.
So that's, West Scranton has a bunch of very talented freshmen. And obviously, I already mentioned Michael Turry, Connor Legier from last year. Just to break down real quick, I mean, if you're looking at this West Scranton team, Michael Turry ranked number 2 in the state. Freshman Gabe Benyo ranked number 3 in the state. Connor Legier ranked number 10 in the state. Mark Redman ranked number 16 in the state. They are going to be, they're the defending duals champion, and I think they really reloaded this year, obviously losing a great wrestler in Tyson Cook, but they have a lot of talent there. Go down to Wallen Pop-Pack, obviously Zayden Schock, he's ranked 19th in the state, and there's just a lot of kids, like I said, a bunch of district placers, Conan Kyer, Nicholas Skokos, Aiden Blott, Giovanni Lamonaco, Tristan Braxton, George Rafferty, a few people who you saw on the football field. You also go to Abington Heights, like I said, Brian Hurd, number 1 in the state, Mason Whitney, number 8, Keith Usinski, number 25. There's just a ton of talent here. So be sure to follow along in the wrestling season. Like I said, the league season starts next Wednesday, and, we'll have plenty of those Friday, Saturday tournaments, Coal Cracker, Escape the Rock, all those kinds of things where these athletes will really get to display their talent. I should also mention, like I said, Honesdale, Mason Avery is ranked number 6 in 2A, Nathan Schumann, number 18, and Levi Landry, number 23. As well as, Landon Estes from last year, Justin Scanlon from last year, who suffered an injury before the postseason, unfortunately, last season. He's coming back. Duke Martin. Yeah, just some really good. If you haven't realized by now, as I've rambled on and on, it's going to be an exciting wrestling season. And that's going to start with next week, the league openers next Wednesday.
Joe, you're just the man to cover this detail. You know that, right?
Yes, I appreciate it. Listen, it's crazy. Obviously, Joby, my favorite sport is basketball. And,
right.
Coming into this, I was given the wrestling beat 5-6 years ago, 2 weeks before the season started. And it was just like, here you go. And I had no idea what wrestling was, but it is easy to fall in love with it. And I did after that first year, just the atmosphere, seeing obviously the dedication of these kids and, what it takes to win, being Matt's side with all the emotions, seeing the victories, seeing the tough losses. It's very easy to fall in love with the sport. So I'm absolutely happy to do it, and I'm excited for the season. Also, I should mention Lackawanna League Championships next Saturday. I'll be there as well. They're at Wallen Pop-Pack. Always a fun time seeing all the Lackawanna League kids just going head to head regardless of class. It's a nice tournament to kind of open the season and, see where everyone's at the time. And so it's a lot of fun ahead, Joby. A lot of fun ahead.
Well, Joe, no offense. You have been slacking for the whole entire fall.
I know.
But let's get you into the nitty gritty here. Let's get you down to the trenches.
I was going to say it's about time, right? And
yeah.
I just try to make you do all the work,
Well, no, listen. Haven't been listening, Joe. I've been lounging around for a week.
That's right. Yeah, no, you weren't doing anything at all.
No work at all.
No work at all. So
I was catching up on my Christmas movies, Joe.
Yeah. Joby, you like to watch, you like to get recommendations from me. What did you, I wasn't very helpful at all, but what did you watch over your so-called break last week?
Well, so far, Joe, I've crossed off quite a few on my list. Now I will rewatch things as we get closer to the holiday. But I like to kick off December with the traditional Christmas Vacation, of 1989.
Of course.
Again, just a fantastically written movie. It was very, very in-depth characters.
Yes.
The plot was outstanding. One of the things I do enjoy when I watch these movies, Joe, is and it does annoy anybody in the room, is I like to really kind of look at the flaws in the theme. The expectation of receiving a Christmas bonus. Isn't that a contradictory term? The bonus is supposed to be something extra if you're expecting it.
Oh, that's true.
He had already spent it. Well, it's a bonus.
Sometimes
bonus. Joe, sometimes those bonuses don't arrive.
Yeah, no.
Maybe they arrive in the form of the Jelly of the Month Club.
That's right.
Where's our appreciation for what little we receive?
That's right, Joby.
So that's one of the many flaws I found in the Christmas Vacation, but I enjoy it. It's very, 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 very funny movie.
Oh yeah.
Had the opportunity on Sunday, Joe, and if you get a chance, I know you will. You'll jump on this. You or Rebecca Kivak will. They have this special now down at the cinemas on Sundays where they're playing these classic Christmas movies on the big screen.
Right.
On Sunday, we saw A Christmas Story, which of course we'll watch for 24 hours.
Of course.
Christmas Eve linking into Christmas Day. But we wanted to see it on the big screen. We hadn't done that in our lives, so we did that. And look at this week, I believe, is White Christmas.
Oh, nice, Joby.
So
nice.
I'm knocking off the Christmas holiday movies. We've of course watched The Year Without a Santa Claus. We've watched some others, the cartoons that the Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol, and such. But that's what I did on my vacation. No work.
No work. Yeah. Obviously, Christmas Vacation. That's the classic there. You gotta, that is essential. So, but yeah, no, there's plenty of, I like to do the Home Alones.
Oh, we've watched those, yeah.
Yep. I hope our former colleague and friend Herb Smith is listening because, Die Hard's usually on and there's always been a debate if that's a Christmas movie or not. And
well, I feel it is a Christmas movie, Joe, and I did watch that over the break.
What's funny is I do too, Joby. Herb
does not.
it. Yes.
He's adamant against it.
Yes.
Herb gets very angry if you discuss the fact that the movie Die Hard took place supposedly on Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, which we all know could not have happened.
Right.
But
exactly.
That's the idea. We're supposed to believe that this entire company worked into the wee hours of Christmas Eve or away from their family.
That's right.
And then this huge plot to rob Nakatomi Towers happened on Christmas Eve. And that entire operation happened in the span of about 3-4 hours.
That's right. Joe,
we're supposed to believe that, Joe.
Yep. There you go. You're looking at those flaws, Joe.
Yeah, that's me. I like that.
I love it.
But anyway, Joe, believe it or not, and I know we kid, even though I was vacationing, I want to emphasize that through my representation. I did follow the winter sports season as we got going here.
Yep.
We've already had some very good head-to-head games in the preseason, which I don't always put a lot of stock into the preseason in basketball, Joe, as you know.
Yeah.
Because I think teams kind of approach the preseasons a little bit differently. Clearly, Riverside has to take a different approach than, let's say, Holy Cross does. And both of those teams were ranked 1 and 2 in the preseason because Riverside's got, 4 or 5 players who were still playing football
right
when the season started. So, they're certainly going to be at different levels of development team-wise in early December. Okay. So, but I will try to get to a game here or there if I find it intriguing, maybe find a little side story or whatnot. But listen, we've already had some good games. Valley View boys with a big victory over Holy Cross last week, which obviously sent some shockwaves through the Lackawanna League because coming into this season, Holy Cross was kind of perceived to be the overwhelming number 1 team with Riverside, a somewhat close second. But Riverside's got this freshman, Nico Antonacci.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm telling you, we haven't had a freshman come into this league with this kind of buzz since probably Terry Turner from Scranton.
Yeah.
And Nico's kind of a little, I'm not going to put him on Jerry McNamara's level just yet. Obviously, we're just starting. But if you can remember back, Joe, you were probably still in diapers when Jerry was coming in as a freshman. I mean, he was the most hyped player ever to come into the high school basketball scene as a freshman, and he lived up to those lofty expectations,
right?
Clearly in his career. But, Nico's, he's already ranked one of the top 20 players in the state as a freshman.
Yep.
That's not bad.
That's not too bad, right? Joby, he's scoring it appears he's scoring like 30 points a game.
Well, again, his scoring responsibilities are going to be heightened because of the limited minutes that the football guys are getting in these early parts of the season. Now, listen, Joe, Riverside's playing Scranton on Wednesday.
Yep.
I'm going to probably go see that game, just not to necessarily cover the game, because as I said, it's a preseason game. Both coaches are going to take it very differently. However, what I will say is there's a little bit of a side story there. Tony Battaglia, who plays for Scranton, and his dad, Coach Tony Battaglia, he used to attend Riverside and play with these kids at Riverside. So there's a little bit of a camaraderie there where they're going to a little bit friendly competition as well. And if you can remember back, Joe, last year, which I don't even know why I bring this up. You can't even remember what happened last week. But Riverside had a huge comeback victory over Scranton early in the season last year, erased an 18-point deficit in the fourth quarter, something of that nature. So there's a little bit of a rivalry here between these two teams. But again, Scranton looks very good early in the year, Joe. 3-0 to start, had an impressive win over Friar Charter School out of Philadelphia. Where Pedro Lugo, I think, had 29 points. So, listen, we have some very good, very talented basketball teams in our area. We are recapping. We're putting the box scores on the Varsity 570 website. Please go there for all your stat needs and all your box score needs. And we're going to obviously have the recaps online at the Times-Tribune.com/sports.
Exactly. And Joby, just to add to that, when you go, we post things right to the website the night that the games happen. And I usually, me or Joby, we usually put links to Varsity, the 570, into the story. So when you're reading the story, you just click, bam, it opens a new tab. There's your box score and everything. So definitely go to the website. Like Joby said, we get it up there and, why wait when you could read it the night of or the morning?
Yeah, and not only that, early morning, you can get it online real quick. It's a nice recap. We have great photography, usually by Christopher Golan, online as well. We're going to have some videos when we attend these games that'll be downloaded and certainly in those recaps for people to see. Joe, also, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here, but I mentioned the boys, but the girls basketball this year, again.
Yeah.
Joe, we had 2 teams go to the state final last year, okay? Scranton Prep looks very impressive right now. 5 starters back from a team that went to the Class 4A state final last year. So looks like that is really the team to beat right now. Number 1 team in the Times-Tribune high school girls basketball poll. Scranton is not too far behind. Now, Joe, listen. Zaya Small was our Times-Tribune player of the year last year as a freshman. She is clearly one of the best players in the country, not in the state. In the country.
Right. Right.
She transferred down to Friends Central, which is more of a basketball academy type school. She's lighting it up down there. She had 38 points or something in a game against one of the top-ranked teams in the country, or on the East Coast anyway, this past weekend. But that being said, we want to wish her the very best of luck. She made a very tough decision to leave her friends to further her future, and we certainly wish her the very best. Had she stayed at Scranton, Scranton would clearly be the number one team in the area. But not too far behind Scranton Prep right now, even without Zaya, because Chrissy Jaklinski's a pretty talented Division I prospect as well, entering only her sophomore season. So, we have some very good basketball teams in the girls' side as well. Valley View off to a quick 4-0 start. Joe, if you can remember back to last year again, can't believe I'm saying it. Asking you to recall anything is a challenge. But Valley View won a state playoff game last year in Class 4A. And after it lost to Scranton Prep in the district finals. Several of Valley View standout players are back this year, including Cora Castellani. So, Joe, we're going to see some really talented basketball teams going at it here early on, some crossover games in the Mountain Valley Conference, some games against teams we're not really familiar with in our area, and then we kind of cruise right into the Christmas holiday tournament season, which, Joe, if I remember correctly, were you on a Linnet tournament championship team at Holy Cross?
We lost.
Oh, Joe. I apologize.
Why are you bringing this up?
Joe, my memory's fading in and out too. You understand.
Well, listen, if you brought it up, I might as well tell the story. So we're playing prep in the championship game. I believe we took a 12-point lead into the half. Nico Frascione, obviously star basketball player. He used to do this thing sometimes when he got upset with himself, and he did it in the third quarter, and he would just kind of slam the ball on the court and catch it when it comes back up. So
he missed it though that time.
So yes, I'm sure you were there, and he missed it. And so it went kind of like it hit his hands. So it kind of went in the air a little bit. And it's funny because like he kind of goes to catch it, but the referee, obviously in that situation, you have to make the call. I'm not sure how it still is today, but the slamming of the ball and it going in the air is an automatic technical foul. So he got a technical foul. The game kind of fell apart, and we lost by 3 to Scranton Prep in the finals of that tournament. So, hey, thanks for bringing up that memory.
Well, no. Listen, that's what I like to do here anyway. But the holiday tournament season is exciting for these kids. And look, it creates memories, good and bad, Joe.
It's true. It's true. But ultimately, no, mostly good. Mostly good.
Mostly good. Yes.
Let me say just a couple things based on the things you were saying. Obviously, Chrissy Jaklinski had a very nice week, as you had mentioned. She's one of the best players in our area. She had 21 points in a 65-60 overtime win over Crestwood, 16 points in a 55-45 win over Dallas. And obviously you mentioned teams that went to the state final last year. Mountain View girls was one of them. And Addison Kilmer had herself a milestone week where she surpassed her 1,000 points. She had 24 points in a loss to Union Endicott and 12 points in a win over Pocono Mountain East. So congratulations to her surpassing that 1,000 points. And also, don't worry about my Crusaders. They'll be fine.
I know that, Joe. Again, so I don't want to put too much stock in the early part of the season, but Valley View's off to a good start.
Valley View,
yes. Got a talented team. Mike Kerpis, an outstanding coach. That team also won a state playoff game last year. Don't forget Joe and the boys basketball.
Exactly. So it's going to be an exciting season, like you said, in girls, boys basketball. So, and anything else to kind of look ahead to, Joby, when it comes to basketball? I think you kind of covered it, but
yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here because you've mentioned a couple of times here now, I'm just diving in. I'm just trying to test the waters.
Yes.
And we're going to have to see what goes on. I'm trying to analyze some box scores here and You know me, Joe. I'm a guy with a lot of notes in front of me every night, and trying to gather things and get an idea what the heck is going on around me.
Absolutely.
I like to fool as many readers as I can.
But you're the person I could ask something and you'd remember it off the top of your head. I'm not that guy.
Yes, I have no hair on the top.
That's right. So, Joby, on Saturday I was at a pretty cool women's college basketball event at the Barclays Center. Iowa and Tennessee played each other in game 1, and UConn, Louisville played each other in game 2. So I did not get to watch the Penn State Big Ten championship game against Oregon, but it seemed like defense was optional.
Yeah, Joe, it's interesting because defense was optional. And look, I've had some time to think about this college football playoff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, being that we are sports writers, so to speak, and now we're into the podcasting world, you dragged me into this. You know, there is always going to be discussion on who got in and who got out. Okay.
Yep.
And this whole controversy swirling around the college football playoff. And now, you know, you're going to have people standing on their heads. They want this changed, that changed. The Alabama athletic director, who has elevated himself much higher professionally than I will ever get to in my professional career, makes a lot more money than I do, but couldn't have sounded more buffoonish. His analysis of, you know, now we're going to just stop scheduling non-conference opponents or whatever. Alabama's 3 losses were in the SEC, for crying out loud. I mean, when you're not a lawyer, okay, there's good lawyers and bad lawyers. Ben Matlock was a great lawyer.
Yep.
You have to at least give a firm, strong argument to your case.
Yes.
Okay. If the SEC thought, and really that's really what the SEC should have done when the teams were announced and Alabama was left out, that the SEC's understanding of this 12-team playoff was the SEC is going to have the most teams in no matter what the records are.
Sure.
That's what I truly like. That's what the SEC officials should come out and say. I'd rather them do that and be honest.
Right.
And say, wait a minute, we're the SEC. We're all on board for this 12-team tournament, but we get 7 teams.
Right.
Or we get 6 teams. Or we get 5, you know. There's no, regardless of what the records are.
Right.
Okay? That all being said, I have a lot of friends, as you know, Joe. I shouldn't say a lot of friends. I have friends who are Penn State fans. And, you know, if you're a Penn State fan and you're into it, Sam Freeman wearing his Penn State scarf and his hat and his jersey and the whole bit.
That's right.
Listen, that's fine. And yes, you want to win the Big Ten championship. But I think this worked out okay for Penn State.
It sure did. It sure did. Joby, they're facing SMU in the first round.
Okay, and we can stop right there.
Right.
Here's why. Because I can tell everybody right off the bat. That's the only thing in front of you right now. Because you still have James Franklin as your coach.
Right.
And I hate saying this because Penn State did win a Big Ten championship over Wisconsin several years ago.
Right.
Penn State is 0-2 against teams that are, you know, in this playoff.
Right.
Ohio State and Oregon.
Right.
So just don't get ahead of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Play SMU, Pony Express, Eric Dickerson, Craig James.
That's
Yeah. My favorite college team growing up.
Of course.
I just think you have to play the team in front of you and you move on from there. But yeah, the draw is not bad.
No.
And look, Joe, it's the college football playoff. If we're going to have to listen to crying every year at the college football playoff, why have it?
Right.
We're definitely going to have 16 teams next year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And there's going to be 24 teams the following year.
Right. Joby, this was I mean, you too. I mean, anyone who looked at this with any sort of common sense, it's just like, if you have 12 teams, the 13th team is going to complain. If you have 16 teams, the 17th team is going to complain.
Joe, if you remember back when this high school expanded the 6 classifications, we had to get a grip. We were allowing everybody into the postseason.
Right.
You kind of have to get a hold of yourself here. And yeah, you're right. The 13th team was going to be mad. The 14th team was going to be mad. And this year, the 15th team is mad.
Right. Right.
Okay. There's not 15 spots. There's 12.
Right. Exactly. And it's just like, this is what, this is what always happens. I mean, you could look at college basketball, like the 69th team. It's like, oh my God, how come we didn't make it? It's just like, come on now.
But Joe, don't forget.
Yeah.
The college basketball tournament has expanded. We're on the cusp of going to 120 teams in the college basketball tournament.
We'll just let them all in.
It's going to be an open invitational.
Yeah, we'll just let them all in.
Now, Joe, I don't want to see that happen in football, but what I'm fearful of is and obviously it's a terrible comparison, but we did see the weakening of high school football when the conferences dissolved and teams were requesting or seeking softer schedules to qualify for the playoffs in their classification.
Right.
And the reason I bring this up is, Joe, when I played high school football in the Stone Ages, okay, I didn't even know what classification our school was.
Yeah.
There were none. Okay, there was no state playoffs then. And I often bring this up to people who play at my alma mater, especially the parents. When I played high school football, Joe, in order for us to win a championship and or finish undefeated, which we did, we had to play at Williamsport, even though our record was 11-0, and Williamsport's record was 10-1. Again, strength of schedule. We, as an undefeated team, had to go. The only undefeated team in the playoff, by the way, had to go on the road and beat Williamsport. Which, if we were doing classifications, my alma mater, Lakeland, was a Class 2A program.
Right.
Williamsport is, in the modern era, a Class 6A program.
Yeah.
Okay? We didn't know that. We just went and played them and beat them.
Right.
Then we had to face Tunkhannock in the championship game. Again, Tunkhannock is, in the modern era, a 3A program, and a Tunkhannock team that beat Berwick the week before.
Wow.
You may want to remember, Bill, Berwick was the state powerhouse in the
state powerhouse.
Okay. But I'm just saying, when the conferences started to kind of dissolve and you stop playing at that high elevated level, the competition comes down a little bit. The stress that your players face a little bit comes down, whatever. I just don't want to see those types of erosions happen in college football where we just end up with two super conferences, which I think is the direction we're headed right now, where you're going to see, if the SEC doesn't absorb any more teams or the Big Ten doesn't absorb any more teams, we may get a third sub-conference.
Right.
And they'll let that conference get two teams in, and the SEC and the Big Ten gets the rest.
Exactly. And it's crazy too, Joby. This season's going to stretch till January 20th. I don't know. It's crazy. I guess it doesn't matter, but geez, this is, I don't know. It's interesting, but like we said, Penn State has a decent path. SMU, if they win that game, they play Boise State. And on the bottom of the bracket, there's Georgia is the 2 seed, and they'll play either Notre Dame or Indiana. And, you're looking at, again, I'm just looking ahead just for fun. But
Joe, that's okay. You're allowed to look ahead. That's why the brackets are there.
That's right.
Obviously you want to start to think ahead. And clearly you look at the favorites. Yeah. And I think, down the line, a Georgia-Penn State matchup would be very intriguing.
Right. And that's obviously the quarterback situation there is I think still up in the air. I think
Carson Beck's out now.
He's definitely out. Okay. So, you're dealing with a backup quarterback who actually came in and played pretty well.
Yeah. QB2 might be better there at Georgia.
Exactly. So
I don't want to talent evaluate. I know nothing about college football.
Right. But, there's a path here. So it's
Joe,
pretty exciting.
Doesn't the path, don't the other team's path, doesn't it want to include where Ohio State could play Oregon again?
Yeah. If
Oregon got a tough draw as the 1 seed, huh?
Yeah. It's funny how that works out, Joby. Because probably the toughest.
But Joe, did anybody foresee this when we started talking about? I mean, are you telling me we just threw a bracket together, a bunch of people, and said, "Oh yeah, these will be the teams"? Nobody sought to sit down and say, "Look, the number one team may have the hardest path to the final."
Apparently not, Joby.
Nobody thought of that?
Apparently not. Meanwhile, the top of the bracket, you got Texas who's playing Clemson, and then if they win that, they're playing Arizona State. I mean,
now listen, Joe, don't sell Arizona State short.
I saw that running back.
They've got a throwback guy playing running back there. That guy's playing around in 1988.
Seriously, he was unbelievable.
Oh, he's tough. He's tough.
So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I mean, as much as I feel like I kind of complained about this, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun,
Joe. And here's the most important thing. And I love these people that always come up with these very, very intellectual evaluations of what we're seeing here. The bottom line is, for the NCAA, ESPN, for whoever else is going to broadcast any of these games, cha-ching.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And if you're naive enough to believe that it's not about money, well then, and you're just a purist,
right?
Enjoy.
Exactly, Joby. So, all right, Joby, I think we're coming to the end here. Anything?
It's always fun to chat with you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Joby, it was seriously, it was great to have you back. Always great to chat to you. Sometimes this is the most chatting we do all week.
That's true, Joe.
So, again, thanks for joining me. Thank you to our athlete of the week, Mid-Valley wrestler, Sam Almedina. I can't wait to get out and see him wrestle in person. Please follow us, the Times-Tribune.com/sports. Also follow our Instagram page, our Facebook page, Joby's Facebook page, Joby Fawcett, the Times-Tribune. There's plenty of stuff we'll be working on throughout this winter sports season. Like I said, it should be